Today is day 6 of the fair, I believe. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yes, day 6. And I never know what to expect. I pray for God to use me. I just go out there and try to be a decent person and look for possibly things that I'm supposed to be involved with. Am I supposed to engage in spiritual warfare? Am I supposed to talk to somebody? Am I supposed to meet someone? Or am I supposed to do nothing at all? I really don't know. But I always pray for God to place me exactly where I need to be at the exact perfect time, inspiring me the right words to say, for His will to be done on earth, to advance His agenda on earth. And I am proud and happy if God is able to use me in any way, because I have no power on my own. We just have the will where we can choose to allow God to use our bodies, our vessels, for His purposes. And I'm going to start this video by just saying something silly, which probably doesn't need to be said, but I don't use filters. I don't really know what a filter is. I don't have a cell phone, so I just have a cheap webcam. And I imagine filters change how you look, possibly make you look better. This is just a standard webcam. There are no filters on it, so it's not making me look better. I wear absolutely no makeup, and sometimes like the lighting is really bad, so I try to avoid that. But I could look better in these videos if I put makeup on, but I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to compromise my morals. I'm going to put myself out. I'm going to put myself out there without makeup, because I want to see a future where women don't have to wear makeup, where we can embrace the way that God made us naturally. And no one's perfect. I'm not saying like not to cover up a spot, but where we have to contour our faces and change everything about ourselves to be considered beautiful is wrong. And it's unfortunate where you have to spend all this time preparing for a video, and it seems to take more time than making the video itself. So I'm sure I could look a lot more polished and put together. I could probably look more adorable or whatever. But I'm just putting these out there. I don't have mascara on. I don't have eyeliner on. I don't have foundation on. I don't have powder on. What you see is what you get. So this is all about the message. Now, today was the 6th day of the fair. And before I went to the fair, I had found a local music store where they repair instruments. Now, this small town, it's just like all small businesses. There's hardly any major stores. There's like a Walmart and a Petco and stuff like that. But there's actually so many small businesses in this town that it's amazing. Like, there's more small businesses than large businesses. And the small businesses actually cost a little more. And sometimes they only want to accept cash. So I didn't know what to expect. I shoved like a check in my bag. And I have 2 guitars. As you can see, here's one. Here's one guitar. And I had told my children to leave the guitars alone, and I would be fine for them to learn how to play it. But they weren't interested in that. They just wanted to mess with them. Like rub food on my guitars and break the strings. So anyways, I have an electric and an acoustic. And the small string, I don't know what that's called. The skinny string, which is the most fragile, was broken on both guitars. So I called and they said they could do the repair for $5 each, so that'd be 10. And I loaded my guitars up in the car and I went and I got that taken care of. And the man there, he was an older man, and he was just so intelligent and so considerate in the way that he explained things and talked, like very professional and kind, and like showed me how to restring it. Now I probably couldn't. I mean I could, but I'd probably break the strand, because I actually had a string and I tried to do it and then I snapped it. I like twisted it too tight, so it's really easy to break the skinny string, and really I've never done it before. So I just tried and I failed. And then I decided to take it in. And now I have 2 functioning guitars again. But here's the thing, like, I don't really know how to play guitar. I haven't played these guitars in like 20 years, and even then I didn't know how to play. I just messed around with them. So because of the gospel tent at the fair, and everybody plays guitar, and guitar is the cool instrument, and that one's socially acceptable to play, I'm thinking that I should learn how to play these guitars, because I've been inspired to make a few songs, and my voice is awful. I'm not a good singer at all. It sounds bad. But I thought, like, if I can put together some music, and that with some lyrics, and maybe get my messages out, which are different messages than what you hear in the gospel tent, that would be really nice. So I'm going to try. Now here's the thing, like, I'm not good at guitar, and I'm even worse at singing. Like, I don't know what the chords are called or anything like that. I just fiddled around on the guitar 20 years ago, and then my kids broke the guitars, and I didn't have a means to get them fixed. Now they're fixed, so I'm going to try it again. And no, I don't know how to play these, but I know it sounds good. I know how to make a good song, and this doesn't sound good, but in my head I can put together like things that sound good. Well, that is nothing special at all. That's something anyone could do. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try to learn how to make notes that sound a specific way and put them together in a way that sounds good that I can put lyrics to. And I'm sure they wouldn't let me play at the gospel tent even then. But they really should let me play at the gospel tent. Unfortunately, they never will, because the gatekeepers are Jezebel and another agent for the kingdom of darkness, which most people don't seem to understand. But I've learned quite a bit more, too, about these gospel tents. Now, I can also give like knowledge and insight that I have on the singers and artists that have been there so far, but I really don't know much about all of them. I should have taken the time to go and meet with each of these singers, with each of these guitar players, and speak to them, because when I speak to them, I'm able to discern. But when I just watch them perform, then I can't tell if they're demonically possessed. I can notice signs, but without speaking to them, I don't know. But I do notice which ones have soul, and which ones have spirit, and which ones just seem maybe they're in it for fame. And this is just my opinion. But if I can talk to them one-to-one, I can pick up on red flags. So I wrote down some notes here so I don't forget to cover some things that happened. And I did not even walk through the sheep barn. I didn't really walk through the cow barn. I didn't pet the bunnies or the ducks today. I went straight to the merchant booth, and I got another, I want to say Jesus bracelet, because these bracelets are also about God. So I like these bracelets. And I got another color I didn't have yet. Now, I still don't have the royal blue, so when I go back tomorrow, I hope they have that in stock. But I almost have the whole set. And this right here is what I wrote down, and I showed to the artist who was performing this evening. Now, the man who was performing, he was a heavy-set man, and he had a nice-looking face, like with the small features. He was quite heavy-set, and it was hard for him to get up. He had, I think, red hair, and most people would look at him and think he was a nice, kind person. But I do happen to know that some narcissists are this type of person, where they're very soft-spoken and polite, and they look like nice people, but they're really not. They pretend to be nice people, but they don't really have your back, and they promote a certain religious viewpoint, whether atheism or if it's Christianity, it's a very specific, narrow type of Christianity, which is different than the right-hand path. So anyways, I'm not trying to bash anyone. I'm not going to put his name directly on this. Now, I might make a separate video later. So this This piece of paper here is from a free notepad that they gave out at the opening of the gospel tent. And I wrote down 3 a.m. is witching hour. Now, the reason I wrote this down is because in the gospel tent, all of the artists take time during their performance to speak about their personal stories and things that happen in their life. Now, this artist apparently was like doing meth and he was homeless, I believe. I can't remember all of it because honestly I wasn't paying like an extreme amount of attention, but I was listening a bit. And he said for like 6 years he did meth every single day. And then until Jesus had saved him. And this does remind me a little bit of the woman who was Jezebel, who said that she was a prostitute and was doing drugs until Jesus had saved her. But this man, he had a great voice. He sounded like he had a pop voice, like a lot of the modern music that's on like WNCI or something. Well, I don't know what the stations are called these days. But he had a very beautiful voice. He was very talented at playing the guitar. He was very heavyset, and it was hard for him to get up. And he just spoke in a way where he was kind and polite. But every song was praising Jesus. No song was praising God. This to me is a red flag immediately that I have noticed in my dealings with people in the gospel tent. To join this club, to become famous in the Christian communities and to get on Christian radio, every single song has to praise and idolize Jesus. No song is allowed to praise and idolize God alone. No song is allowed to praise and idolize God and Jesus. It's only Jesus. And they defend this and get angry. So I know that it is wrong. God has gifted me with discernment to know that this is wrong, and the way they behave when you challenge this is demonic. So anyways, he mentioned something about getting saved and it being 3 o'clock, and he's like, I don't know what it is about 3 o'clock, like how he just all of a sudden at 3 o'clock was compelled to read this like religious book or the Bible or something. And so then I knew instantly that this was the witching hour. 3 a.m. is the witching hour. And my ex-narc would also stay up till 3 a.m. all the time. And this is probably so he could do his dirty work. Kingdom of Darkness and the Satanists, they get together, they pray at 3 a.m. This is an hour of heavy spiritual warfare against the saints and believers. So it's very important for us, if we can, to get together and pray at 3 a.m. against them, to block them. And we are more powerful than them, but not if we don't try, not if we don't do anything. So if some of us can get up at 3 a.m. and pray against them, it would be very beneficial. I've heard this from various sources. But if you also just watch and listen videos about Satanists, and I'm not talking about dabblers, the real hardcore atheist Satanists, the people that are praying and using warfare and witchcraft against the saints, these people, they will stay up and they will pray to the devil all night long. They will, make potions and do curses and spells and incantations. They'll do this all night. But 3 a.m. is their witching hour. So when the singer mentioned something, I don't know what it is about 3 a.m., I got out my notepad and I wrote, well, here's what it is about 3 a.m. 3 a.m. is the witching hour. So when the concert was over, I don't go up to people and mention, why is every song about Jesus, and Jesus is the best, and I love Jesus, and nothing's about God. But anyways, I went up and I just flashed him this paper to show him, like 3 a.m. is the witching hour. Because he said he didn't know what it was about 3 a.m. And I said, this is what it is about 3 a.m. And then he got mad. He got mad and he gave me like a disgusted look. He gave me a disgusted look. And he's like, oh, well, whatever. We just need to praise and worship Jesus. So that's what he said. So he completely dismissed the witching hour. He completely dismissed any need to pray against the forces of evil, the kingdom of darkness. He completely dismissed casting out demons or fighting back at all. And he said, no, I don't care about that, basically. I don't care about that. I care about Jesus. Jesus' power. Yeah, but you need to ask Jesus to stop these demons. And another thing I noticed, and it was very subtle, that while this singer was playing, he would use his one hand, and he would put his hand up to like praise Jesus, and when he did that, his thumb would go up and his pinky a little bit. And it was like he was doing the devil's horn symbol, but it was subtle. But I saw it every time. And his other hand went up and all the fingers were up. But this hand was doing like the devil's horn. And I noticed it. It wasn't extremely so, but I could notice it, I could see it. And I'm like, is this on purpose? It's kind of suspicious, but I'm not drawing any conclusions yet. But when I told him about 3 a.m. being witching hour, he immediately got angry with me and like gave me a look of disapproval. And he's like, I don't care about that. I care about Jesus. And this is why they have Jezebels walking around in the gospel tent, unopposed, unchallenged. No one is praying against them. This is an important thing I need to mention about this. And a problem in most Christian churches, as well as in this gospel tent, is they actually have agents for the kingdom of darkness, gatekeeping, running the show. And they are choosing what guests to bring on. And every guest sings songs only about glorifying Jesus, not about glorifying God. And none of them speak against the devil. None of them sing about the devil being bad. None of them sing about the demons being bad. None of them talk about casting out the demons. So the demons walk around perfectly safe and protected in this tent of idolatry. But I would say that if there was an idol that you could idolize and maybe get away with, it might be Jesus. I will say that. But still, I don't know. I've asked God for confirmation on this, and I don't worship Jesus. I love Jesus. I want a relationship with Jesus. I've hugged Jesus. I think Jesus has hugged me. Jesus has been there by my side. I've seen Jesus. Jesus has probably been there for you many more times than for me. I just could perceive it. And I totally respect and I appreciate Jesus and I love Jesus. But God is above all. God is above all. And despite me not worshiping Jesus as God, God answers every single prayer. God orchestrates every single thing in my life, sends me signs, and has sent angels to me. So that to me means I don't need to worship Jesus as God to be saved. Because I don't. And God is a steady, steadfast presence in my life. And Jesus has been there with me. And I'm nothing special. I'm a human. I'm a human being who accepted the calling. Just like you can. And anyways, I've wrote down some points here, so I don't want to forget about them. But one thing I noticed is a lot of these people that come up on the stage, singers or people involved in the gospel tent and in the church, used to be in prostitution, used to do drugs. Now they're saved and Jesus saved them. But possibly they're lying and saying they're saved and they still have their demons. Or they have sold out. Because he was doing the devil's sign. And refuses to speak evil of the devil, and refuses to cast out any demons, and doesn't even want to discuss it at all, as the Jezebel walks around, unopposed and unchallenged. So, this is one way to know that your church is a cult, is if they sing every single song about, I love Jesus, 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 and that's it. That's it. They don't sing any song about God. If you claim there's a Trinity, which is not in your Bible, then the Father would be praised before the Son, I would think. But they don't. And the Holy Spirit would be the Mother then. This is, guys, this is just getting into semantics and things, but we should just worship God. And there are many prophets, and Jesus definitely was something else. Jesus was perfect. And, it's somebody that we can all aspire to be like a perfect model for us to emulate. And not only was he kind, but he wasn't a wishy-washy pushover. And he wasn't like these fake Christians in the gospel tent that don't say anything bad about, I'm not going to talk about the devil. I'm not going to draw the demons. I'm not going to talk about the demons. I'm only talking about Jesus. That's not what Jesus did. Jesus went and flipped over the tables of the money changers, and he called them, didn't he call them a den of vipers? So he called them out, he challenged them aggressively and firmly, and he protected the victims. He healed the sick, so he was kind and loving with the good people, but equally he aggressively came against those enemies that were attacking the saints and believers. So, See if there's anything else I need to cover in this video. So I did see the same two women I saw the night before. They mentioned possibly coming back again. And right before the concert started, I was already sitting down. I didn't see them, so I thought maybe they're not coming. And then they came, and they waved me over, and we said hello. While the performance was going, we exchanged our messages. And when it was over, I talked to a woman that worked at the church, and I guess she just wanted to help people and was like offering me like food and, you know, anything, like if I needed a car repair. I just mentioned some things like, oh yeah, we can help you. Like, she wanted to help me. And I don't know if this is some type of trick, but it was really sweet and kind, like really sweet. And this woman, being a very large woman, I'm not sure, but possibly is trans, possibly was a man that has had a transition, and I'm not gonna I'm not going to judge her based on that, whether that's true or not. It does look like it, I don't know. But what I did notice is somebody that wanted to embrace me and wanted to help me, and I have not yet seen any demonic manifestations. However, I have not spoken to her about my personal religious beliefs, and probably there would be some problems once I did. Anyways, she was very kind, very helpful. So the two women I went with, they directed me to her. Her name was Julie, and I'm going to say it because she's seemed very sweet, very helpful. I have nothing bad to say about her at this point. I have nothing bad to say about her. She was like, I was really thinking about you. I was really thinking about you. And she messaged me back, and she's trying to find me resources and help. So I'm putting the name out there because so far I think that this is a good person. I think this is a good person that possibly really, truly wants to help. And also gave me the name of the church to go to. And of course, this church is less than a mile from my house. Like, my new town is awesome. So I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm going to try some church shopping soon, and I'll go to this one first. So what else do I want to talk about? Okay, so after this concert was over, and I talked to the woman named Julie for a while. Then I went back to the two women I had seen earlier, and I'm like, I didn't know what you guys were going to do. I'm probably going to walk around a little bit before it gets dark. And they're like, okay. You know, I said, what are you going to do? Because I could have hung out with them if they wanted to. And yeah, I guess one of their husbands had come. They didn't know where he was. And I walked around a bit, but I didn't see him again. The thing is, they had bought me a meal the night before, and I didn't want them to buy me another meal and just be like taking and taking. I didn't want to be like, you know, I didn't want to be a charity case. I do need help, but like, it was very nice of them to buy me a meal the other night, and I just went out on my own, and I used my credit card, and I bought myself something to eat at a stand that did take a card. So there was like a Mexican booth, and I was able to get something with avocado instead of meat because I wasn't sure if the meat was halal, probably not. And it was really good. So I walked around with this bowl. But yeah, I did enjoy it. And then, you know, I see some familiar faces, people I'll smile at, and they recognize me. There was, I think he's younger. I don't know how old he is. He could be like 20 or something. He could be younger. He could be older. There is a stall where it's got like skee ball. And there's a young man there with long blonde hair, and he's kind of short, and he seems like a nice guy. Like, I like him. He walked by, and like, actually last night as I was walking past, he let me play around for free. He gave me a token. I'm like, thanks. Now, of course, I didn't get a prize. I was just shy. No, Miles. I was just shy of enough points to win a prize. But even if I did win a prize, I wouldn't have collected on it. I just played, you know, for fun. And then I walked by again this evening, and he was there, and I had my big box of food. We just talked for a minute. It was just like, he was such a kind guy, very nice, and easy to talk to. Like we had been old friends or something. Just very nice. He was like, you know, hey, how are you doing? And like, oh, that food looks good. I'm like, yeah, it's like $10 over here, and it's pretty big, and, you know. And then I was on my way. So I'm just like talking to people and meeting people. I'm trying to be polite and kind to everyone. I'm making some small talk because you never know who you're going to meet. And I really don't know many people. But this young man, and maybe he's not that young and I'm confused, but he's just like got a really good character and is very polite. And I do find many people here are polite. Now, I do find there's a lot of older people in the gospel tent, and those running it don't have the best of intentions, but I guess that gets overlooked. That does get overlooked, so I make sure to go to the gospel tent every night. This is seriously run by a Jezebel, and it's run by another agent for the kingdom of darkness, who walks around like a silly white Karen. The whole idea of Karens, which I think is totally racist, it's like she styles herself to be a Karen. With the short hair and like, oh, she pretends to be a Karen. And really what she's doing is peer pressuring people into all coming to a consensus on the same religious belief, which I believe to be false. Let's see. Yeah, I did end up leaving and coming back, and I'm a little inspired to mess around with the guitar, and I don't need to know how to play the guitar, but if I can get enough notes out to make a song that will fight against the devil and his minions, then I'm going to try to do that, because no one else is doing that. Christian radio isn't doing that. I don't really listen to the radio much, but I'll skip through, and there's a lot of Christian stations. I never hear them singing about fighting the devil, but I sure do hear a lot about praising Jesus. And so when you hear that, beware. Beware. What they're doing is making it look like everything's good and covered, and they basically just let the devil walk around unopposed. That's what they're doing. You need to read your Bibles, people. We're supposed to get active in fighting them. So this is an important message today, and I wrote down a few more things that I didn't want to forget. But it turns out that quite a few of these Christian singers are not in it for the best of reasons. I will say, I'll make a separate video probably later. If I don't, please forgive me. But, some of them, it seems like they're in it for fame. They have a lot of songs. They're decent songs, but I don't hear the soul. And then there were some younger guys, and they had, like, big booming voices, and they were putting their hearts into it. And maybe they didn't sell out. Maybe they did. I don't know. I didn't speak to them. But some people, I was suspicious, and they would be the ones. So, the two groups, which to me were suspicious about selling out and working for the opposition, were both the groups that called people up to give their life to Jesus. Now, there were other bands, so I've went 6 nights. I've been to the gospel tent 6 nights. And some bands, I don't know where they stand. I don't know where they stand. I don't know if they're sellouts or if their heart's in it for God. I don't know. But there were 2 bands that I truly believe are working for the enemy. And those 2 bands are the ones that called members of the audience up to give their life to Jesus and place hands. And then when you pray with them, you come into agreement with their prayer, which is a prayer of idolatry. So when they said certain things, I did not stand up. And then everyone else was gauging and listening and watching and see what I stand up to. And then when he worded things differently for a different part of that prayer, then I stood up. And then when he said, if somebody has the Holy Spirit, then stand up. And then I did. But I was not going to stand up to give my life to Jesus, because I would give my life to God. Jesus never asked us to give our lives to him. He asked us to give our lives to God. And this is totally against his teachings. Anyways, I hope you guys have learned something. I have no idea how to play the guitar, but at least I can fiddle with it now, and it works. So, let me try to mess with it now. Oh, excuse me. God bless you.